In my work, we talk about working through the empty chair, and you and I might have done some of this.
Yeah, we have done quite a bit, yeah.
And I'm just wondering if you might like to invite Mum into the empty chair right now and for you to say whatever you might need to say.
Yes, yeah, I'm happy to do that.
And so if you imagine having Mum sitting before you.
Yeah.
And for you to allow yourself to say whatever it is you need to say.
Yeah.
Are you happy to do that?
Mm-hmm.
And just let it flow.
Okay. Mum, I really want to say a few words to you that I have been longing to say ever since you died. Wished I had said before you died, and that is that I feel so deeply, deeply grateful for everything that you did for us whilst we were growing up, and what you did for us when we were adults too. And I feel sad that I never got the opportunity to share that with you. And I want to say that the reason why I didn't get that opportunity to share with you was because I felt afraid to be vulnerable with you. I didn't know how to be vulnerable with you. And I think because I've regretted not being able to say that so much, I'm just saying it. I'm just saying it now, and I don't care how it comes out or how I feel. I just desire to say it. So thank you so much for everything that you did for us. And I love you. I love you very much. I miss you. Yeah.
And as you look at Mum in the empty chair, can you notice how she is, how she's receiving your words?
She's crying. Yeah, she's crying.
No wonder. Beautiful words. And I'm wondering, Tracy.
She's actually trying to fight her tears back as well, which was Mum through and through.
Of course. She's still being who she is. And as you look at her in the empty chair, I'm just wondering if you can hear some response from her through her tears.
She's saying that I tried my best. So I'm very proud of you, that I love you very, very much. And that she's sorry she wasn't able to say those things when she was alive, because she too felt afraid and anxious about how to share and didn't know how. She just didn't know how, because she never heard her mum or dad say things like that to her. Yeah.
Makes complete sense.
Yeah.
The era that she was born, it just wouldn't have been the done thing, the way to go about things. Yeah.
No, it's very much spare the rod, spoil the child ethos. Yeah. Yeah.
How are you doing right now?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, no, I'm grateful for that opportunity. Thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome. Is there anything left to say? Because right now, Mum might still be sitting in that chair with you.
What I want to say or what Mum wants to say?
What anybody wants to say or do. Because we can do as well as say.
Well, I want to say that I long to forgive her for the things that she did that leave a lasting mark on me. And when I think about them, I feel very sad. So, for instance, she was not the person in the family to give out physical discipline. She was the one that told Dad to. So whenever Dad would smack us, for instance, it would be on the directive of Mum. And she would be kind of wanting Dad's support, basically, because she didn't know how to make us good children, well-behaved children. And when I think about it, what I've learned recently is when Dad used to work away from home when we were little, so we were it was for 5 years. This is what I've learned. It was for 5 years he did this. So for 5 years, between the ages of 2 and 7, Dad was only present at the weekends and the holidays that we had during the year. So Mum was looking after 3 children virtually on her own. And because we were living in rural Lincolnshire, we were pretty feral. So that as well was quite hard to control. Because even if she locked the doors, we were climbing out the window because we lived in a bungalow. Oh God.
I'm loving this, Tracy.
So I think she was just at her wit's end, because she would have been in her late 20s, early 30s, living in a tiny village in rural Wiltshire with not knowing a lot of people.
Trying to shape you 3 into a certain size.
And so I think by the end of the week, she was just at her wit's end, and she needed Dad to do something. And of course, dads are the ones that teach the children things, whereas mums are the ones that support and kind of nurture in a way. I mean, mums do teach, but I think, well, from my own experience, I accepted teachings more from my dad than I did from my mum. From my mum, I needed warmth, sustenance, safety, clothing, things like that. Whereas from my dad, I needed something more. I needed like learning and teaching. I mean, Mum would teach me how to garden and cook, things like that. And so actually, it wasn't just my mum that taught me those things. In the village that we lived, there were some elderly neighbours, and they also taught me things like that. Whereas Dad kind of taught me more wisdom related things. But we were missing that male figure in the house that we could observe in a relationship with my mum. So it was very difficult growing up, even learning what relationships were like. And so when Dad came home, if we'd been naughty all week, the first thing was discipline when he came home. Well, after not seeing your dad for a week and receiving discipline.
Yeah, very hard.
Yeah. So I kind of want to say to Mum, I do forgive you for being that was not a situation of her choosing. You know, Dad had come out of the Air Force, so he was actually made redundant from the Air Force because at that time they were actually reducing the amount of people required in the Air Force. So he then went into lecturing at Nottingham Polytechnic in engineering. So that was the only job that he could get. And like he was saying recently, I regret missing so much of your childhood, but I had to pay the mortgage. You know, Mum wasn't working. She was looking after 3 children.
Mm-hmm.
And so Dad was working as hard as he could to pay the mortgage off as soon as he could. But, you know...
You're all missing out on each other.
Yeah.
You 3 little ones, Mum and Dad, all missed out on each other.
Yeah, yeah. So, so I do feel forgiveness because we think we make the right choices in life, and it's not until much later in life when we are able to reflect on those choices we can see so much more clearly that maybe they weren't the right choices, you know.
Dad has probably looked back and considered a lot.
Yeah, and so yeah, I have a lot of forgiveness for both Mum and Dad. And yeah, I would like to say to Mum, you know, I forgive you. I think I'm just very, very grateful that I have this awareness about myself now, and consciousness about myself now, because I know that if I wasn't aware and if I wasn't conscious of this, my behavior would be very different. And I think I would be passing on a lot of wounding to Lilia.
Definitely.
So I am very grateful that I have gone through. I've gone through very painful moments and processes, but I'm really grateful for them because they have an impact on how I choose to relate to other people.
Absolutely.
As a consequence, and that's what I'm grateful about.
Mm-hmm. Very transformative.
Yeah.
And as I've been listening, there are so many areas here that we could easily dip into, of course. And only if you're happy with this, the part that feels like the most pressing against me to go towards is that you and your siblings, the 3 of you, desperate to escape this bungalow into the freedom.
Yeah.
Surrounding. It sounds like it was rural, so there's a lot of countryside, probably fields, rivers, trees.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you want to do this or not, but because it's so pressing, I'm going to suggest it and you can decide what you want to do. But I'm wondering if just for a minute, you might like to close your eyes and imagine finding your way out of that bungalow's window or door or cat flap or some way out of that bungalow and into the wilds of the surrounding countryside, and just notice how it feels, what you see. Do you want to do it?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, yeah, go for it. Loving the smile on your face. And how was that?
And there's just so much joy, there's laughter, there's giggles, there's screaming, there's running, it's just complete and utter elation.
Yeah.
There's wonder, awe, discovery. Yeah, it's just complete and utter joy.
How
Complete and
beautiful.
utter joy. Yeah.
And this isn't a criticism at your mother, towards your mum, okay? But I do not hear anything about you three being total fucking lawbreakers. She wanted you to be good, and I'm not hearing anything bad in this. I'm hearing lots and lots of wonderful stuff in this.
Yeah.
Freedom, excitement, joy, elation. To just break free and run wild.
I can just hear the three of us, the frequency of our laughter, the frequency of our giggles, the frequency of our screaming for joy and squealing, and
all that space.
Yeah.
To go anywhere you wanted. Nobody died. And in fact, it feels like the absolute opposite. You were so alive.
Yeah, absolutely. Shrieks of life. Yeah.
Absolutely. And you know, Tracy, you could, if you wanted to, regularly, very, very regularly, do that little
That's so powerful.
Yeah, I know. I'm glad you were able to accept that and do that and experience it inside of you. And to just take that, take the 3 minutes or however many minutes you want to just do that. And every day, every week, just break free and run wild and shriek and scream and live and wonder and all those things. So that you can fill up the deficit in your inner child with this experience.
I want to go back to using running loose again.
Yeah. That term really fits for you.
I feel like it's so much better than dirty hand artist, actually. I don't know why.
That.
Pardon?
Might you do that? Running loose really does.
I think so.
Resonant for you.
Yeah. And actually, dirty hand artist was suggested to me by my web designer a few years ago, and I never really felt. There wasn't the same frequency that I feel with I have with loose. Yeah.
When it comes from another, I don't believe it's always the most resonant thing to be doing. And web designers, and they're marvelous at web design and they're techy and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And you're an artist.
Yeah.
And everything that you are, so many things. Don't want to limit you to just one thing, because you're so many things, including incredible warrior Meredith.